Hey guys, it's me, Arthur, and you're watching How to Draw Creepy Creatures. Now, I got a request from Got Damn It to draw a Shinagami. Now, a lot of you probably know what that is because of the popularity of mangas and TV shows like Death Note. You uh, Basically, a Shinagami is the Japanese equivalent of a Grim Reaper. However, there are some interesting things about it that you probably didn't know, such as the fact that to Japanese scholars, the Shinigami is something of a controversial figure because there are some who believe that the Shinigami did not come about naturally in Japanese mythology, that it was implanted there by contact with Europeans. That it's basically a Japanese take on the classical European idea of Anku, or the Grim Reaper. Now, the argument for this is that there are many forms of Buddhism that don't recognize the idea of any types of gods. They don't have any deities. And Shinagami means death god. So there's a theory that it wasn't actually, that it didn't come about naturally in their culture. However, I don't really think that's correct, I, uh, even though I'm no scholar of Japanese culture, I just actually heard a really interesting counter argument for that. The thing is that not all forms of Buddhism don't have deities. There are a lot of versions, particularly in Japan, that do have deities. And also, what might be called a god, the word god is often used to describe an ancestor. So some believe that Shinigami is actually sort of a modernized take on the idea of ancestral spirits working as psychopomps. A psychopomp referring to a spirit or supernatural entity that's supposed to bring you over to the other side when you die. So some have thought that the idea of a death god is actually just a reinterpretation of the more shamanistic beliefs in Asian culture. Yeah, but anyway, there are multiple types of Shinigami. There are normal types of Shinigami where they don't necessarily cause death. It's just their job to bring your soul over. It's what they do. They bring order into the universe. And then there are human Shinigami, where there are people who died through suicide, and as a result, their souls have become tainted, and so they they lure other people to commit suicide towards self-harm and things like that. They can possess people, so these aren't normal Shinigami which work within uh, I guess you could say the system of the universe, where they take people who are meant to die because of some sort of divine plan over to the other side. These are evil Shinigami, which they took on the role of a bringer of death themselves. So they're kind of like working rogue, freelancing. But without further ado, let's get into it. All right, basic human shape. All right, skeletal structure. Now let's work on giving them some muscle. And let's erase some of this and work on adding some more detail. Okay, now that we got the basic sketch, let's shade it. Okay, now that we shade it, let's fill in some of the finer details that might have gotten lost during shading. Artist mark. And you have just drawn Shinagami. Okay, like, share, and subscribe, you guys. Remember that January is going to be Japanese month. However, if you have any suggestions for creatures you want me to draw or questions about the show, whether it's Japanese related or otherwise, you can just leave it in the comments and I will be sure to get back to you. Now, the link to my Patreon page is in the description, and so is my email. And anybody who finished the lesson on the show and would like to show off your artwork, you can send it to me at arthurwrotethis@gmail.com, which, well, I don't really need to say my email address because the link is there. But anyway, as long as you give me your written permission, I'll show it off on the show with your name so everybody knows that you did it. Thanks so much for watching, you guys, and goodbye.